Welcome to tonight's video, which is on spiritual cleansing and how it relates to internal work. I apologize for this video being about a half hour later than I intended. I didn't realize that my camera was no longer going to work with the version of Chrome that I had because Google Chrome changed things around, and so I had to set up a new browser. Okay, anyway, what's done is done. So, I want to talk about internal work further in relationship to spiritual cleansing because I think it's a really important point to make. And in the last video, I discussed internal work and what it is and why it's important to do it. And in there, I did allude to the fact that when you're doing internal work, you are definitely creating a much less stressful life for yourself, and you're taking care of yourself and you have less drama and all those other things, which is really important. But when we talk about spiritual cleansing, I think it's an added component of internal work that's worth exploring in its own right. Now, if you had talked to me earlier today at say around 2:30 today, before I meditated, you would have definitely seen me in a situation where I was feeling pretty frazzled. I'd had a rough day at my day job, and I needed that meditation, pure and simply. And it's one of the reasons why I do meditation, because when I do meditation, it allows me to basically reset my day. It takes all the stresses and things that have been going on during the day, and it puts them into proper context, and it cleanses me of all that stuff. I just empty my mind, empty all those thoughts from work and everything else, the annoying customers that I've dealt with and everything else that occurs. And I reset myself and refocus on what's really important, which is the work that I want to do for the rest of the day, whether that's creating videos or writing or doing other things along those lines. And this at the same time serves to really bring myself back to a place of conscious awareness and focus. And that's really the importance of our doing this kind of work. When we are spiritually wrapped up in ourselves and everything else that's going on, it can be very hard to focus and cleanse ourselves of anything, or really do anything magically or spiritually or creatively for that matter. And this is one of the reasons why I do this work for myself, because I want to be able to focus on the things that truly matter to me, to be able to do the creative work that I do. For example, really requires a necessary degree of focus and awareness that simply isn't going to occur when I've spent all day dealing with work related stuff that is important. I mean, I need to make to make money, to make a living, and pay the bills and all that other stuff. But it's nonetheless not something that I want to bring with me into all the other things that I want to be doing. And it's not something that I want to bring into my interactions with other people. But even putting the work thing aside, there's another component to this, and this component really comes down to how you want to show up in your life in general. In my morning routine before I even start work, I do my morning qigong, which includes dragon and tiger medical qigong and Dao Yin exercises, which are done to clear energy out. And the reason I do that is because I'm setting my intention for my work so that I'm going to show up and be calm and focused, and that I'm going to be able to do the work that I need to do to help my customers with what they need, which in this case is resolving software issues. If I come into that work in a bad mood or with a bad attitude, it makes the day drag. And I've done that before. I've come in just being out of sorts, and it just makes that work so much harder, because at that point I'm dealing with whatever's going on internally within me, as well as, of course, whatever their issues are. And when I'm taking on somebody else's issues, I'm dealing with whatever psychic garbage they bring with them. And unfortunately, people do have a lot of psychic garbage they bring with them. So do I really want to have my own psychic garbage at work and get triggered and then have this back and forth? Not really. So this is why doing this kind of internal work is so important. And it's why I do it twice a day. I do it at the beginning of my day to wake my body up and then wake my mind up and bring myself to a place of conscious awareness. And then I do it, at the end of my work day, so that then I can go and focus on whatever else it is that I'm doing for the rest of my day with that conscious awareness and focus. The other aspect to spiritual cleansing, quite frankly, is that when we're doing magical work and things along those lines, we do want to necessarily be able to show up in a place where we're able to bring our fullest self to that work. Now, as you know, when I do magical work, I don't necessarily do the typical banishing afterwards. I work with my spirits, and I like to have that 24/7 interaction with the spirits. It's why my ritual space is set up the way it is, so that I actually have where essentially that energy is being worked with and mediated all the time. Even so, the work that I do comes to it from a place of awareness, like what am I bringing into that ritual space? How am I showing up? Am I showing up from a place of conscious awareness, or am I showing up from a place where what I'm bringing into the interactions with the spirits themselves is that psychic clutter and garbage from the rest of the day? The reason why I do my internal work the way that I do it via meditation and all that is that it allows me to reorganize my mind. It allows me to sift through all the emotions and everything else and dissolve the tensions of the day, dissolve all the conflict and everything else, and show up from this place of conscious awareness and focus, so that I'm able to accomplish the things that I want to do without letting those things be come from a place of distraction or less awareness. And this is why when we look at the spiritual work that we do, we want to necessarily attend to it in a manner where we're not bringing in anything into it that we don't want. Now, some people do the classic banishings and things like that, or they'll do, the departure and all that. And the reason I don't is because, as I said, I want to continually work with the spirits that I'm working with. I have an ongoing, evolving relationship with them, and I figure if they want to come, they will. If they want to go, they will. But this is where it's important to make that distinction, because you can do spiritual cleansing from a place of meditation and internal work, where you're resolving your own internal conflicts and contradictions and things like that, dissolving any tensions and blockages, and coming into a place of conscious awareness and focus without necessarily having to do all the other stuff that sometimes people do. I mean, really, if you think about it, any spiritual banishing to one degree or another is a reorganization of your mental processes, your energetic flow, and all of those other things. There's just different ways to go about doing it. And I want to be clear that my way isn't necessarily the best way or the superior way. It's the way that works for me. Now, you should really do whatever works for you. And if that includes a classic banishing from a Western magic perspective, then go ahead and do that. The key thing, though, is that you understand why you're doing it. You're doing it so that you really are going into any interaction that you're having from that place of conscious awareness, instead of those subconscious reactions that I talked about in the last video. So that instead of living a life by reaction, we're instead choosing to purposely live a life by conscious design, and we bring that into all of our work and everything that we do. All right, I'll see you in the next video, and take care.